audio or sound signals. If you go back to the ancient times, you know that you have heard a lot about drums being beaten to communicate something. You know, the trumpets being beaten to communicate something. So audio and sound signals have been used for a long time now. Since the beginning of sound signals have been used to send the messages. Drum beating used by people in jungle in olden days to alarm or to inform people to gather. How often have you seen this in ancient movies? You would see people beating drum to see that people are gathering together before informing something orally. So fire alarms, air raid or assault alarms, machine breakdown alarm and so on. You go into an organization, you will have fire alarms often. You cannot take any other forms of communication then. You have to depend only on audio or sound signals because of the emergency of the situation. You have to inform to everybody the same message then and there so that they are reacting to it on time, immediately. And for that you can only depend on what is called your sound signals. You will have a loud beep coming out when you have some emergency situation in your organization, and that is where you depend on fire alarms. Buzzer, push button bell, electrically operated bell. All these things, buzzer that is being used maybe to call someone or to inform someone that he is crossing the limit of time, that is being used. Push button bell that you use to call an attender that is being in the organization. So for all such things you have to depend on what is called audio or sound signal. So this is another form of non-verbal communication. So advantages of sound signals are very quick in conveying the intended message, very useful in time management. It helps streamlining the work in the organization. So you know that it is very quick. As I told you, in case of a fire, you have to inform everybody immediately that there is a problem. So the only source that you can depend on is sound signal. You cannot go out there and tell everybody that there is an issue. Then you might end up losing your life. So such cases you can only depend on sound signals. Very useful in time management and helps streamlining the work in the organization. Limitations of sign language: can communicate only elementary or symbol idea. You cannot go beyond an extent. There would be a common meaning. When you listen to the fire alarm, the only communication or the only understanding that every receiver is getting is, I am supposed to run out of this organization, of this office, of this premises. There is some hazard coming in. I cannot communicate anything beyond that. Drawing effective pictures, posters, cartoon, etc. is difficult. If you are talking about sign language, you need to have a special skill to see that you are giving an effective picture, you are drawing an effective poster. You need to have a special skill. Not everybody can depend on it. Cannot be substitute for verbal communication, can only be used in combination. You cannot substitute verbal communication with a sign language or audio language or audio signal. You cannot substitute it. This can just be an add-on, a supplement to your verbal form of communication. Can be written, can be oral or whatever. It is quite likely to be misunderstood in many cases. Your sign language, you talk about posters. Very often it can be misunderstood because you have nothing else attached to it. The spot correction cannot be made in sign language. Another problem related with sign language. Whether it is audio language or whether it is audio signal or whether it is you're using signs, you cannot correct it on the spot as you can do in case of oral communication. Again, going into non-verbal communication, body language. We have already discussed on why body language is important. We said that 55% of our communication happens through body language and only the rest through oral communication, and that's why it's important. Body language is an essential part of communication. The study is called kinesics, which means body movement. We look at each type or what does any movement in your body mean. Expression of our feelings and status. As language uses sets of symbols to convey meaning, our body consciously as well as unconsciously conveys messages, attitudes, moods, status, relationships, etc. So body language doesn't normally lie. The level of confidence, position, etc. can be identified through observing the body language. Even if you, at times when you are speaking a lie, your body language might be against it, because your body language cannot often lie. The level of confidence, the position, etc. can be identified if you observe the body language. You talk about a major in military. You look at a senior officer in the military speaking to a lower. You just observe and you will identify who is higher and who is in a lower rank. Body language helps you do that. A tense, stiff body is a sign of subservience. You are worried about something. You want to be a bit defensive about something, and that is where you will have a tense or a stiff body.